eyes dictates that if a star fades, it doesn't mean it never shone. I need to be much, much more than just the thing you rely on. It rains, it pours, it validates your cause, it doesn't make what I want wrong. Stand in trial, inches become miles, a true vibe, too far from. Light awake in a halfway house, trying to stay to a hideaway. Either way, if I don't reach home, it isn't because I don't want to. Light awake in a halfway house, trying to stay to a hideaway. Either way, if I don't reach home, it isn't because I don't want to.
Right, boys.
Right, boys.
Right, lads. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Scratch Record Podcast, episode 16.
Epiflowed?
Epiflow.
Oh, I did not take
EpiPen. Episode 16. We are back. Just the two of us this week. I know.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
It is nice.
It is nice. I've had a few guests in a row. I don't even know how many. Three guests
Three
in
on
a
the
row?
trot. Yeah, we went Cam, Max,
Max,
Sarper.
Marcus and George. And
Yeah.
no, we're just back the two of us. And I think it's quite nice. It's given us a chance to gather some things. Not gather some things to say. Like we didn't have anything to say, but it's been built
Well,
up.
we've got
hasn't
nothing going on.
it? Not like the industry's dying.
Yeah, I was going to say, literally. No, it's been quite nice because, like, obviously, as the time's gone through, as the time's gone on, there's
Time does go
more.
on.
Thank you. There's more and more things that have like come out.
Yeah,
There's been
that's
like
what I
regular news.
Yeah.
Whereas, obviously, when you do it week in, week out, sometimes you get a bit sparse, spread a bit thin.
Yeah, so it's been nice. But
Yeah.
hopefully people have enjoyed the guests. I mean, I'd like people to let us know, really, like what they thought of it.
Yeah, which one was your favourite one? We're going to put I want to do a poll on Twitter. So get at the Twitter.
Cool, I'll do that then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotta give you fucking something to do,
Oh,
haven't I?
man, it takes like 20 seconds, to be fair.
Yeah, so get a poll on Twitter going. I want to see what your favourite ones are, which ones you enjoyed the most. Because, to be honest, like, I fucking loved all of them, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure. I think
Yeah.
they're all had their own slightly different like element to them, slightly different styles, and
Yeah.
a lot of different answers from people and the way we did it. So I'd like to know which one people like the best and who they'd like to see back on.
Yeah. How did you find doing it last week with the two people? Because obviously that's a different dynamic that we've not tried yet.
Yeah,
but it's the
it was-
first thing.
It was quite nice, to be fair. I think it made it even easier because they had their own dynamic, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think then like us having our dynamic, and it was so easy because there was no. You didn't have to stress, like someone was always going to be saying something.
Yeah, it worked really nicely.
And I think they made it easy because we didn't have to pull anything out of them, did we? Like, it was like they were flying, they were really good, they were really entertaining. So it made our job really easy. We just say something and almost let them go and just
absolutely. It was a nice
keep it ticking, but
absolutely, it was a nice interview to do because everyone they kind of sat down and within literally 30 seconds of them being here in the studio, like it kind of just relaxed.
Yeah.
Everything just kind of when it was calm, we just got into normal conversation.
Yeah, I was saying to you, it's been nice because like we wanted to have this sort of informal pub chat style, and now that we've had guests in, we've managed to hopefully carry that on with people that
and keep it.
we hadn't met before.
Yeah,
we meet them for an hour, have a little bit of a chat, and then we just go. And hopefully that like the way we do it still carries through in the way that we want it to. And I think it did. It was nice. It only took an hour, and as you say, it was like we'd known them for ages, and you could just go for it. And
literally, it was a nice like middle ground as well. Like obviously we've all got stuff in common, so it kind of felt really easy just to chat to them boys.
Yeah,
it was good.
sure.
So if you enjoyed it, if you haven't listened to the Sarper one though that we did last week, get on that.
Yeah.
That's up on the Spotify, on all of that jazz, and should be on YouTube at some point in the next.
very soon, if it's
hopefully,
not already.
yeah,
Sure.
it should be up. Yeah, maybe.
Don't
It
commit.
potentially
Maybe.
be up. So yeah, no, get on that and have a little look at the
Yeah,
YouTube
sure.
because there's a couple of references in the podcast.
There
that
is a
are-
lot actually in that podcast to the YouTube, and there's like four of us. I feel like there's a lot more going on. Like the two
So
of us, there's
much
always
happening on,
some
yeah.
like some things to watch on YouTube. But when there's four people, there was a lot of like looks and dynamics going on. Like I feel
It
like
was
when they were
sick.
speaking, we looked at each other quite a few times, like
yeah,
what
no, it
is
was
going
amazing.
on? But yeah, it was good. And to be fair, a couple of guests in the works as well coming up. So if you
Absolutely.
did enjoy it and you want to give any feedback on that for guests coming up, then
Absolutely. Well,
appreciated.
it's literally what we want to do is try and get guests in as soon as possible. And the fact that the industry is pretty on its arse at the minute, having guests in makes this job a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes it so much easier. But there has been some news.
There's been a few bits and bobs.
A couple of bits in the works.
I just wanted to kick off a little bit.
Go on, swing it through.
So I think one of the major things that happened over these little bits where we've had guests on is the Reading and Leeds lineup for 2021 has been released.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's caused some controversy. Some people, it's obviously big news anyway, but I think because there's not a lot else going on, everyone was quite excited to hear about it, and obviously because it's next year, it gives people something to look forward to. So people were putting a lot on it, and then so I think actually they had quite a lot to deliver with it.
I think what was the lineup when it released?
In short, they've announced that they're actually doing 6 headliners instead of 3.
Yeah.
So obviously you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Normally you have 1 headliner each day. They're doing 2.
Yeah.
So the 6 headliners are Stormzy, Catfish and the Bottom Post Malone, Disclosure, Liam Gallagher, and Queens of the Stone Age.
What a strange
It's a
eclectic
mix.
Yeah.
It's a mix, like big time. And when they first announced that, I was a bit like, 6 headliners? Like I originally thought, are they going to be at the same time?
Yeah.
And then, which I thought we're just going to have to choose, which is ridiculous.
Fucking
But then
stupid.
it came out, it literally says on the poster, no headliners will clash, which is sound, which is good.
Which is good, yeah.
But to me then, so let's say it's the Friday and it's Stormzy and Catfish, all 100,000 people are going to be at one stage watching Stormzy, because it's 2 main stages. They've
do you
all then
run
got
that?
to run to the next main stage to watch Catfish.
My thing is with the main stages, so they've got 2 main stages that are going to be playing obviously all day, and they'll kick off the show and they'll also end the show. So then Stormzy and Catfish are going to be playing they're going to be playing separate, aren't they?
Yeah. So say Stormzy finishes at 9 and then everyone goes and watches Catfish and
I feel sorry for the other ones though. The
Yeah.
ones beneath them, because there will be positions where someone like, I don't know, because obviously they're now trying to be a bit more mainstream with it. Someone like Action Bronson or something will play maybe like the 5 o'clock set, but it'll be alongside someone who's also very similar. So are they going to
I get
do
you.
the thing that interests me is whether they're going to split it down as like a mainstream stage. So like a TikTok-y like
Yeah, because I know Madison Beer is another name that's on there, not a headline obviously, but like on there.
She's on there.
Yeah, she's on. There's
I'll
only
tell you
like
what, she's a
10 of
gorgeous
raps.
singer, but I'm not sure.
She's gorgeous. I thought, but
No, she's got a lovely voice. She does have a lovely voice, but I don't know whether she warrants being a first like name. But that's what makes me think, is there going to be one that's like based purely around the younger audience and the popularity contest, and that's when that name's being released, like that fucking hell,
Popularity?
Jesus,
invented a new
the
word.
popularity contest. You've got Stormzy, her will probably be on a similar stage. They'll be on that same main stage, where I rate they'll split it as like an indie, the more traditional Reading Leeds, and then have a mainstream stage, which will kind of like throw something else in the mix. It would almost be like a the pyramid stage, the triangle stage,
The triangle stage.
the triangle
Just gonna
stage,
play the triangle all day.
the pyramid stage, and the main stage.
It's called the other stage, is it?
The other stage?
I can't remember.
Anyway, but yeah, so the two main stages, I think that's where the mix will go, because it's like obviously the main stage at Glastonbury is very much like your very traditional Glastonbury stuff, major names, traditional artists,
I
like
think-
Dolly Parton last year, sort of thing. Like that's your main stage. You got your second stage where they played more of like your Billie Eilish, your Chance the Rapper, all of that stuff, where it's more of like a popularity. One's a popularity contest and one's
like pop culture and one's more old school, like actual music legends sort of thing. But
it mixes it up quite nicely. But
I just don't know how I feel about being like we've got 6 headliners.
6 headliners, I think it's strange. And the headliners that they are, Stormzy, Fair Fox the Boy, he's done Glastonbury headline. The next one, the other one they can do, Reading and Leeds is obviously a big one, especially now they're mixing it up to from what it used to be. And I think like that fucking fair play. Liam Gallagher, I don't know how I feel about that, because he's headlined everything. Like what else? If you've been to Glastonbury, if you've been to Reading and Leeds like last year, and the other ones that he's played,
Done Part Life, and
he did Part Life and all that stuff, and it's like if you do festival rounds, you've seen Liam Gallagher headline 4 times like in the last 3 years. Do we need to see him again? Do you want to see something new? Like Catfish I quite like the idea that Catfish are on there.
Yeah, but they are another one
But
that's
are
just been
they-
knocking about for ages.
But no, but are they headline material at the minute? The only thing that makes me think that now they've released it early doors is that someone has some intel that says they're going to release another album next year. Surely, because they haven't released one for
maybe,
a
but
couple of
then-
years.
It was start of last year. It's like 18 months.
Yeah, so like nearly 2 years.
But it's a bit
Are you a
like-
headliner if you release something 2 years ago?
The issue, and I love Catfish. I'm a massive Catfish
Yeah, so
fan.
am I.
But I do get, if Catfish release a fourth album, it will be really, really good. But it will be,
Oh, the same as the other
it'll
three.
be more of the same, which is sound.
Fine.
But like,
So
I do
Oasis did
agree.
it.
Yeah, no. Oasis had way more versatility than that. They are they did.
Way more versatility.
Than Catfish?
Way more versatile.
Yes.
I wouldn't put them as one of the most a better versatile band at
Than
all.
Catfish?
They're probably a little bit.
Oh my god, so much more.
Nah.
If you listen to actually the whole back catalogue rather than like just the first two albums, and
No,
it's ridiculously
Oh,
so.
really?
Yeah.
Only when
Listen
Noel
to-
gets.
compared to Bring It On Down to Wonderwall,
But
is
is
like
that just two different songs?
yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like there is two
But
different.
Catfish literally don't have that. You could pick any two Catfish songs and they're more similar than those two are.
Yeah, maybe. I still wouldn't say that they're
And
a
like
massively
Stand By
versatile.
Me and Rock and Roll Star.
I wouldn't say they're a massively versatile band.
I don't know how we got onto this debate.
I don't know. I don't know. No, but they're not like an Arctic Monkeys versatility.
Not to the extent of like Tranquility Base, no, but they did have a lot of versatility.
Yeah, maybe. Anywho.
Anyway,
no.
yeah, I just think, so let's say, right, with this lineup, so there's no headliner clashes. So let's say Catfish are playing 8 till 9, whatever, and then Stormzy plays 9:15 till 10:30. Stormzy's then the headliner because he's closing out the show.
Yeah,
So you haven't got two
headliners. No, you've got two.
Have you really?
No, you've got someone who's headlining one stage and someone who's
just closed-
headlining the
But you've always got
the
that,
tournament.
because someone always
Yeah.
closes out every stage.
It's just
So
been
you've
released as a headliner.
It's just a bit like they're sort of trying to sell it, and I get why they're doing it. It's not really a criticism; it's just a bit of an observation of what they're doing. Like, they've missed one this year, so they're sort of trying to say next year is almost like 2 in 1, and I just don't.
Oh, it's
I think they're
waffle.
sort of saying where they've buffed up. What they normally have the 3 headliners and then 3 acts just beneath them. They're sort of saying the 3 acts just beneath them are bigger than they'd usually be. Like usually they probably wouldn't have Stormzy and Catfish on the same one, or they wouldn't have Liam Gallagher
yeah.
and Queens of Stone Age on the same one. So I get that, but like really, if one's later than the other and one's closing out the main stage later, then they're just the headliner and
Gotcha.
you've just got a good act
Yeah,
that's closing out the other stage, which is fine. But like,
it's okay, but to release them as headliners, I think is such a strange way to put it because
Yeah.
they're not all headliners. They're not all headliners, and these not if they don't clash, they don't both headline.
Yeah.
If they both headline, they would clash, and I think
Yeah.
that's harsh on the people that aren't going to be closing the show.
Yeah.
So say like, because I don't think Catfish will be a closing act. It'll be Stormzy, Liam Gallagher, and Post Malone will be the 3 closing acts.
probably.
It'll be what I'd probably say.
But so then you've got Catfish, Disclosure, and Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, Disclosure won't be able to close. Disclosure. See, they could. Obviously, I've seen Chase and Status headline, and they are sick.
Yeah.
But Disclosure aren't the same caliber as like obviously Chase and Status, or nor are they the same caliber as the Gallagher.
Gallagher?
Oh my god! I was gonna say I'm really struggling
Come on,
today.
Elliot.
They're not the same caliber as Liam Gallagher.
No.
Oh, that sounded nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just not the same caliber, so they're not gonna be able to like headline. They're not gonna be
Yeah.
the fucking bollocks. They're not gonna be the face of the poster, are they?
No.
Just because it's not gonna be something that people are gonna want to go see. People won't. Especially, it's the type of festival that it is though. For me, is what they've done is now try and appeal more to everyone.
What do you think about that? Because that's another thing that I've seen a lot of people kicking off about. Because when it went to Reading and Leeds, it was in '99, and they actually when they first did the split thing, and it was the same lineup, and it was sort of marketed as a indie punk and metal festival.
Yeah.
is what it was. And I think a lot of people are saying like that's never officially changed, and yet you've now got Post Malone, Disclosure, Stormzy,
Okay.
headliners.
I don't see a problem with it. It's natural.
No.
It's natural progression. It's natural progression of a
But
festival.
is it progression or is it? I'm not even saying this is like what I think about it or not, but is it more of a like liquidating the product they had.
And
going more like Glastonbury, fine, it's an arts festival, you have the biggest acts, but Reading and Leeds is meant to have that indie rock punk attitude and feel to it, which if you're just signing acts because they're big, not because they fit the clientele.
I think it's slowly over the years lost that. It's not been like just this year they've suddenly gone boom, nothing. Like it's now headlines are going to be massive and they're going to be popular. It's not been that. It's been a natural progression as things have gone through, because because Reading and Leeds have always had like a dance tent.
Yeah,
they've always had
a bit different. No, the headliners.
But it's a natural progression, because if it was only going to be an indie rock and punk festival, then it wouldn't have that ever. So it's a natural progression as they've gone through. They've gone from just having like a dance tent to having a dance person on the other stage, and then slowly having two dance people on the other stage, then having someone playing midday at the headliner, and now on the main stage. So it's like it's that natural progression. You've seen it with loads of festivals now, like Wireless, for example, started off being a hip hop, rap, and R&B festival. We went 3 years ago, Chasing Status, closed them up. They're not a hip hop. It then became like an urban festival, and then the year after they start bringing in more and more mainstream names.
But then, do you not think that all festivals are just going to get more and more similar if they all do that?
You
get this issue now where Liam Gallagher does headlines every single festival, rather than each having their own genre to them.
But what other festivals are on that level of festival where you can manage to get 100,000 people in? Glastonbury. Reading and Leeds, Parklife's getting there, but apart from them three, they're the three major. Boardmasters isn't as big. Boardmasters is very more indie
T in the
punk.
Park, Transmit.
Yeah, Transmit's very indie rock punk. That's not a.
But then what I'm saying is
they're not as big.
But based on this sort of ideology, in 5 years' time, Transmit will just be.
No.
The same as what Reading and Leeds is now.
Because they're not making that. They're not choosing to make that progression. If they're choosing to, if they do eventually, and they start slowly integrating in other genres, but I don't think Transmit wants to appeal to 200, 300,000 people, which is what Reading and Leeds are trying to do. They'll try and sell 150, 200,000 tickets next year.
Not from a Reading and Leeds point of view, but from a fan's point of view. If you're someone who's been going every year since '99 to see the best indie punk metal bands, and now all of a sudden
it's not all of a sudden though.
Well, I think it is very recently over the last couple of years where they've had acts.
What was their one for this year? Because I just have a look for us, because I feel like it's slowly been integrated in. I don't think it's as massive a change as everyone's throwing their toys out the pram over. Because it was a indie punk and metal festival to start with. But last year, like this year, it's meant to be Stormzy and then Liam Gallagher and Rage Against the Machine. Okay. With the others being Jerry Cinnamon, Cortinas, Two Door Cinema Club. Like, it is very Sam Fender, Rex Orange County, Idols, Fontaines. It is very like indie. So it's gone from that. Is there anything else on it? Can I have a look?
Migos.
Oh, Migos are pretty fucking big. AJ Tracy. So Migos were meant to be they're second down on the list on the Friday in Reading, and then they've got their whole dance stage, which is the dance stage, which is MK, Hybrid Mind, Salado, Sunny Fedora, Wilkinson's, which is Wilkinson's. That's the shop. It's Wilkinson.
Close down, mate.
No, but it's like there is, and then even on they then now have a one extra stage. They have a one extra stage.
Yeah, but I think that's nice. Have a stage. Rather than taking over the headliners. No,
but I think as soon as you start having a stage, you're going to have to look at what is the next biggest thing for in that section. And then that's what I mean by it's a natural progression. When you start to cater for lots of people, you're going to become a popular festival.
I think that's what I'm arguing is that from the point of view of a long-term fan of the festival, they don't want them to be catering to more people.
No, of course not.
Which is the argument. And
I'm the same.
I agree with you. From the festival point of view, it's brilliant. Like, get the biggest acts, sell the most tickets. I completely agree with you. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing. I like that. I'd like to see Post Malone. Like, I'm not. It's not really criticism, but just to almost play devil's advocate a bit of what people were saying. Yeah. Is that if you wanted, people are going for Cortinas, Liam Gallagher, Rage Against the Machine.
Where's your problem?
Like, yes.
Where my thing is obviously not. It's not like a big argument. My thing is where was their problem? The ones that have come out of the woodworks this year and being like, why is Stormzy and Post Malone headlining? What the fuck? Where was your problem with Stormzy and Migos this year? Where was your problem the year before when there was someone else? What's the difference? Because I can't...
But I think the difference is it's, say, like 80% of the acts they want with a couple that are a bit different, rather than it being like mostly acts that don't really match. Like, I think it's that this lineup feels like it's slightly...
It's very publicised.
I think the issue as well that has come from it is because they've released the 6 headliners and then like...
a couple of others.
7 other acts, say, that are a bit lower down. Whereas when you get the full-blown list, it'll probably look more similar to last year's, because if they integrate it a little bit further down, and then like the whole point really is that you pick and choose what you want to see.
Do you not think it's a marketing ploy?
Yeah, of course it is. As you say, it's to put Madison Beer on one of the original things.
Yeah,
that is just to sell tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's a huge name.
Yeah, and I think the problem with,
which is fine. That's really that's absolutely fine. You've got to do it, but I sort of understand some of the grumbles that people have.
Yeah, God, yeah, but I think they're trying to be a almost a competition to Glastonbury.
Yeah, I think
it's what they're trying to be, and there isn't many of the festivals that do cater for everyone. I think the natural progression when you try to start having different tents and different areas and different genres involved, I think that does become a thing when you start then having your headliners become very multicultural.
Yeah.
So I think that with that being said, like if you really want a rock pop, like a rock alt pop, that sort of vibe festival, go to Transmit, go to Boardmasters.
Yeah, it's not as easy as that though.
I mean, not?
Number one, because Transmit's in fucking Glasgow.
Yeah, where's Boardmasters?
I don't know.
Devon, down the other end of the side.
So if you live fucking where we do, then it's both of them incredibly inconvenient.
No, but
it's more about,
do you know what I mean? It gives you there's options both ways. I just think it's one of them ones where, like, if you're having a bit of a grumble about it, I understand it. They've been going for years. God, yeah.
20 years, and then all of a sudden this thing that's been a massive part of your life that you've been to every year with your family or a certain group of mates, and it's like, it's a massive part of people's lives.
Oh, God,
and then all of us, like, not all of a sudden, I know it's not all of a sudden, but you see that lineup, I can see why people are going, to be honest.
It's a disappointing lineup.
I
don't
really care about Disclosure and Post Malone.
It's a disappointing lineup for sure, because
for those people.
Well, but again, you look at the same problem people are having with Liam Gallagher are going to have the same problem. The actual problem. It's not going to be the same people, but the same problem with Post Malone.
Yeah.
Because Post Malone has headlined a lot of festivals and has been at a lot of festivals, and I think like it's the natural rotation round. Like it happens.
You say it's natural, but I don't think it's natural. I think it's a conscious choice.
I think it's natural when as soon as you try to cater for different types of people.
That's the natural choice.
Yeah, but it's all. I even think if you look back to when it first started, was it very strictly that?
But it's only,
was there still a dance tent?
It rebranded in '99 though. That's
yeah.
What I'm saying. So Reading is actually the longest running festival in the UK.
Yeah,
it's been going like fuck knows how many years. So I imagine it's evolved at certain times. But I think when it rebranded as Reading Leeds, that's what it was indie punk metal festival. And I think, not like they should formally announce that they're changing it, but I just think like it's been a bit, it has lost that. And again, I don't think it's a bad thing either. So I do agree with you.
Yeah.
And I think if I was running the festival, I'd be doing the same thing they're doing. But I can just, if I put myself in someone's shoes that has been going for a very, very long time and loves the fact that Reading and Leeds has been championing these genres of music, then you start to feel like you fall out of love with it now, and you just see it as being too commercialised and too like mainstream. And I do get that. I do really get that. And like people are like, someone like Rage Against the Machine probably wouldn't headline at any other festival except Leeds. So the fact now they've almost been drops for Post Malone is frustrating.
It's such a
when you're such a fan of that genre.
Oh God, yeah, I can see the problems and I can see the issues, but that's what happens when you have a festival that is going to be towards 200,000 people.
Yeah, but I think that's why they're gutted.
Do you know what I mean? That's why I can understand why you'd be gutted in the same way that I'm gutted that I won't be able to see, say, Blossoms with anyone that's under 1,000 people. Do you know what I mean? It's the same concept in a sense of like, yeah, it keeps it very niche, but as soon as you start bulking out the audience, it's going to become a little bit more mainstream. And you see it in the progression of artists in general. As soon as it starts hitting more and more people, they become more and more radio heavy. And I think that's where you notice it, especially in festivals, if they start off like that and they start realizing, shit, we are one of the only festivals that are accessible from the Midlands, or from everywhere up and down the UK. Leeds is accessible from everywhere up north. Reading's accessible from everything down south, like south of Nottingham. You are getting to a point where you are the most accessible festival in the country. So if you want to sell 200,000 tickets, you have the opportunity to.
Yeah, of course.
But the only way you're going to is by making it a bit more mainstream.
It's just a bit of a business.
It's business.
Mindset,
Yeah. Oh
it?
god,
Which
yeah.
is,
It's business orientated, but I just think it is too. What's the word? You can't give and you can't get more tickets sold without dropping some part of clarity.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. You're going to have to, if you want to sell more and appeal to more people, you're going to have to drop a few things out of it that aren't maybe what the long-term fans and the long-standing group are going to really want.
Yeah, they're just not. It happens. It's just a choice of growing the festival itself over the long-term roots of what it's become since like the late 90s and Leeds. It's just,
well, Glastonbury was the same.
Made that choice.
It's also the thing. Like Glastonbury was the same. Like back in the 80s, it will have been a predominantly band heavy like show, because that is what the popular area was in genre. So hence why the 90s, it probably, when they first marketed towards pop punk, indie, that type of vibe, like Britpop, that's because that's what was popular at the time. And now, as over the years have gone, they've slowly still increased the amount of popularity of like the acts that are in there, because they've still kept dance tents, they've still kept all of this stuff involved and incorporated in. It's just now this has been a time where they've been like, fuck right, we've got to make sure that this year we sell a shitload of tickets.
I think there's, especially because they've missed a year, they're just thinking this year the most important thing is we make enough money to keep going.
Yeah. And
just put it on, that's all. Which I get, like they've got to fucking sell a lot of tickets next year, because this year they've not had one. They've almost got to make double their money just to break even to what they normally would. Like, so they've got to go, right, if we're going to go balls to the wall at any point, now's going to be the time where we go, look, if you have Post Malone on the thing, people are going to go see it.
People are going to buy just for that.
From all over the world, never mind the country, like, because that's a pool he has.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that comes at the expense of a band like Rage Against the Machine and a lot of fans that would like to see it. And I'd say it's not really a good or bad thing, but I do just understand that.
Yeah, and I think it's not going to be fully at the
expense.
It's not going to be the expense of them not playing, because they will still play in the lineup. There's also be music. There will also be music like that in the lineup. It just won't be headlining, which is shit.
I do think it's another point in that people do need to wait for the full lineup before they react to a lot of these things. Like, I remember so many lineups come out and people are like, shit, and then they add like 3 acts in that everyone loves. Okay, no, yeah, it's really good now. Like, it does swing really quickly. Like,
and it's all marketing, isn't it? It's all marketing. It's very clever marketing.
Probably see the responses and book a couple more in, and they can do it.
I think they've done it. I think they've released these names on purpose.
Yeah, of course they have.
Because they know it's going to piss people off. It's a marketing ploy. End of the day, they go, right, we're going to have these, and these. It's like the whole thing with Wireless. It was another marketing ploy. The fact that they weren't allowed to swear on stage. It was a waffle. It just brought a load of attention to it on social media because it became a massive topic. And I think that's part of the thing that a lot of people miss, is because it's that psychology that you look at and you go, right, if we do this, it's probably going to bring a lot of people that are really interested, as well as piss a lot of people off. It's natural.
We're only speaking about it now because of it. If they just released the same lineup as last year, then we wouldn't have batted an eyelid. So, like, exactly,
it's free promotion, and I think that's the thing that, like, with it, you've got to take it with a bit of a punch of salt until the rest of the lineup comes out, for sure.
The thing that I think is not related to that is the other big controversy that people have about it, and that is the fact that this festival has 6 headliners, none of which are female artists.
This I really fucking agree with. Yeah. I think there is a massive problem with that. I think it's not just with Reading.
No,
I think it's a massive issue. I've used this
as a way for us to get into it, but I think, especially in indie music, the sort of music that we speak about, it's a really big issue. Yeah,
it's very male dominated.
Yeah,
in a sense, not in a sense that there is more better men. It is just it becomes the things that they are being radio played. I don't even think it is just this genre.
No, it's not.
I think it is in music in a whole. Women are not being represented enough and pushed enough by radio shows and by you know, even ourselves are at fault for some of it because everything that's pushed out by publicists and stuff like that and social media and radio shows and teams like that seem to almost lean towards male heavy bands and artists, and that is in every walk. And it's quite, I find it really quite disappointing because I love coming across female bands. I love coming across all female, like Panic Shack when I found them 4 or 5 weeks ago. I fucking love that band. I think they're a brilliant outfit, but I got lucky falling across them because then they don't have
way hard to come across.
So much harder to come across, and I think like in turn, we probably should search much harder.
I think it opened our eyes a little bit. It opened my eyes a little bit because I think it's one of those issues where, like, obviously I've always just been like, there needs to be more women in music, it needs to be like more promoted. It's like an issue of how male dominated it is. But then then you need to look on yourselves and go, well, hold on, like if you look at our playlist, there might be 2 if you're lucky.
Oh no, I think there's
now there's more, but I'm talking like our first 30 there was definitely none. No, you had Ali Barter.
Yeah. Because I'm.
But I think that was probably it. But like, we're nowhere near it being 50-50.
Oh God no.
And I think you do start to think, well, hold on, like,
why is it not?
Like, not that we're a big like influence on anything, but like everyone's got to do their little bit now and sort of clock and be like, we never ever would actively like not pick women, obviously, because we really, really highly rate them. But as you say, we need to now go the other way and make more effort to seek them out. Like, people aren't going to be pushing them to us. We need to be like against that problem and be like actively seeking them out, finding them and trying to do our bit for supporting them, because like it was that stat that came out that on Radio 1, and I'm the sources I don't know, but this was what people were saying, that across the last year 85% of the music played was by male artists. And I think that statistic is outrageous. If it's even close to that number, it's outrageous.
It's just so upsetting because for me, I love female vocals on any track. Personally, just makes it a completely different vibe, and I love it. And I think that's I've always been a massive fan of female singers. If I listen to a lot of like solo artist stuff, majority of the time it is female stuff like Bieber Doobie, Lana Del Rey.
Bieber Doobie's really good.
Even if you go into like Ali Barter and people like that, I love that solo stuff because they're so distinct with it. But I think the problem that we've seen, and obviously with that statistic, I think it's just so upsetting because there is so many incredible female singers that are soloists that don't get the light of day, but also female vocalists in bands that don't get the light of day because band music is very orientated around this lad culture, which is so poisonous to males and females in that sense. I don't know, I can't describe it in a sense because like if you listen to the industry and you listen to indie rock and you put an indie rock playlist on, it will be heavily orientated by 5 men that are between 20 and 35, and that's your genre. That is sadly the genre, and there is more and more coming through. It's just how they're not being given
a bit of effort to change some of those ratios and just give people like
an equal opportunity for it.
Exactly that. Like, no one's saying that they need to be pushed just because they're women, but the fact like there's so much talent that is being so under listened to, and like I do think there's probably a big issue with a lot of female artists in this industry being pushed out as well. So I think even being in a band and the way that people speak about it would just put you off. Like I think you'd just be a bit like, look, this is so dominated by this certain thing that I can't be, but I'm gonna do something else.
Well, and also,
because why should I dedicate my life to making this music if there's no chance I'm gonna get the light of day on the radio because it's 85% male?
And that's just a massive problem with it. And I think that even to the point of like the standard like slang and the standardized how you speak about bands and stuff is very male orientated, which is disappointing, but at the same time happens. We talk about it a lot, or even like
I'm
to start
for it. And like again, I've noticed it's opened our eyes, like, because and I said to you, like, a lot of time if we message a band or something, like, you automatically put like, all right lads or something.
Well, it's the same as how we start the podcast, and that's how like, all right lads,
boys. I was thinking about that the other day actually, and I was like, again, like females listen to us, like there is a few, like looking at statistics, like open it with Right Boys is maybe like
not the right way to deal with it. But
and I know that it's not, people aren't gonna be offended by that, but it's just a bit like it's just a little example of how the industry has a lot of that sort of terminology
that's what I mean, and that's like, it's an example in a sense of like, it's how people talk and how people are in this industry, and how the bands and the fans and everyone around it is very male orientated. It is audience wise very much predominantly listened to by men. There is more of a audience, well, we've noticed it in our podcast, like our podcast is probably an 80-20 split for I know it's on Instagram and Spotify, obviously you can't really see stuff like that as much, but like it is fairly male heavy, so that's one of the reasons that I open it up with like Right Boys, because I feel like I'm.
But again, it's just something that you say a lot.
Yeah. Anyway.
Personally.
Yeah. Anyway.
So it's just it wasn't even a conscious thing. It's just you happened to say it a few times, and then we were like, well, it's just a bit of a catch. But I think like you do have to look internally a little bit and think, okay, how can we slightly adjust the way that we do it to just not only seek out more female bands, but then just be more inclusive in general of female artists in this industry. And that's why I think like what Jack Saunders is doing with his show is so good. Because
what is it?
He's trying to get it as close to 50-50
as possible.
Like obviously, naturally, like you're never going to say it's going to be 50-50 because you don't want to start not picking male bands because you need to fill your female quota, because it can go the other way a little bit. But he tries to basically keep it as 50-50 as possible on his Future Artist show. And I think that's what you've got to do, is like someone like that giving a platform to more and more female artists. And even now on Twitter, like I see so many on our Twitter, because we're sort of in a bit of a like community now of people sharing these bands, more and more female ones popping up, and more of like him sharing ones, and it would be like his like new artists and hottest track are all female bands, and then like suddenly people are like, well, obviously they're going to listen, and then that then suggests more female bands, and it just gets that ball rolling, and that's it just opens some people's eyes. I think it's important because it is way too far.
It's absolutely. I find it hard because like it's trying to dig out these bands that are underfollowed, underappreciated is really difficult. And I love the fact that now we're more conscious about it. Now we've got a bit of a platform to stand on to talk about it and stuff. I want to be able to at least try to have one in every update, every playlist update, one female band. Because to be honest, I've been doing that for the last few weeks and trying to keep my ears to the ground and find it. Because
that's only 25%, so
it's really difficult.
It's madness, isn't it? Like, it's crazy because it's just not hard around. Because the way that we do research through, like, however we do it, you know, whether it be social media or Spotify and Apple Music or you know, anything, radio, however we find new bands, naturally, like, you see 80 to 95% male artists.
Oh god, yeah.
So for us to even find 1 out of 4 songs that we put in as a female artist is hard enough. So you can't believe what it's like for them to actually be trying to gain their own momentum and play their own gigs and like get noticed, because like the chances are already so slim, and then you add in this extra barrier and it's like so uncalled, so unnecessary. Like
so
it really
unnecessary,
is.
And it's almost this problem that the world has had for a long period of time now, and it's like trying to break out of them shackles and break out of that like standardized way of thinking with it. And like I'm gonna definitely hold myself more accountable to not including it,
for sure, because
there is some fucking unreal, like Bieber Doobie that we were just, like I said earlier, she's fucking unbelievable.
So good,
unbelievable. Like back to the Remnant line, why is Billie Eilish not headlining?
Well, this is the point, like it's not like there's not prominent female artists anyway.
God,
like
back
to how we actually started it. Reading and Leeds, where is just what, like 1 in 6 would still be like a low ratio.
Better than fuck all.
But like, where are they on that lineup?
Like, just Billie Eilish could be up there for sure. I don't see why Billie Eilish isn't up there. No. Like, it seems silly that she ain't fucking sat in that line. She fits there. She fits there. She's got similar. If you're going to talk about statistics, if you look at her statistics compared to Liam Gallagher's statistics, I bet it's not far off each other.
I bet she's got more listeners probably.
That's crazy. That then she can't even be put as a sniff on the. Even as one of the fucking they might come out and release.
She might, and there might be, she might be busy. Do you know what I mean?
Busy.
Like they can't just book who they want to book. Like they've got to work dates out. They've got to sort out their shit. Like I get that, but I just think none of that is really an excuse to have 6 headliners and not have 1 female artist.
Yeah,
I just think I think it's a bit poor, and I think it's another. As we're talking about like platforms, and that's one of the biggest platforms, one of the biggest festivals in the country every year. Like you've got to just show a little bit more initiative, and as I said, like we've had that, and I think now they've got some criticism. Maybe they'll see that and they'll change that. But that's what it's got to be about: is people like acknowledging it, not like slating them and being like Reading and Leeds are disgusting,
like boycotting them.
Don't cancel them. Like it's not like, but just express. Look. That's not really good enough to have 6 headliners and none of them being female artists. It's not really okay. And I think if they'll go, fair enough, yeah, you're right. Hopefully, if they don't, it's a different story.
It's what they should. It's what they
next
should.
Next year, they'll be like, or the year after, they can be like, okay, like actually have a conscious decision about it.
Well, they should, because they're a major part in the there is a body of. What's the fucking word? Like a societal body that kind of overlooks like the music industry, like a union that is very orientated to making sure women are involved in this, in these lineups, and they're a massive advocate for it. The people who organise Reading and Leeds, they are a massive advocate for it, and the fact that they've not gone back on their word, but like almost like
it's just a bit of an oversight though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just a bit like you've got to practice what you preach a little bit, and
that's what I mean. Yeah,
you can't really advocate it and not follow through with. And again, I'm not saying like just pick a random female artist just to have representation, but you don't
need to.
They're there, so just like utilize that and have one. Like they have their own massive pool, and I don't know. Yeah, it's just feels a little bit shoddy, but but no, I think it's important. And like if people listening, just think about it yourselves and what music you listen to, and and see if you've noticed it, and let us know what you think on the topic. But I just think there does need to be a little bit. Everyone have a bit of a more conscious effort to switch this swing around in the industry, because 85% of Radio 1 is not okay.
Not alright. It needs to fucking change. And I also, if there is any female bands that are listening that we haven't spoke about yet, that you do have fucking good music, let us know. Send it to us. Get us on the on our email. Send your promos through. Send your demos through.
TSRpod@outlook.com.
Yeah, send your promos through and stuff, and link us through the DMs and send us that type of stuff, because it helps a lot for us finding it, and that's how we come across a lot of our bands, is through people actually getting in contact with us.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so like for example, like my single that I'm going to talk about this week is something that has been sent to us a couple of times, and that's how I find a lot of that shit.
Yeah, people that have emailed in or DM'd and just said, listen to this track, and I think you get people saying sorry for sending this message, but when you listen to a song, like, don't fucking say sorry. Like, it's literally, we're desperate for it, and we listen to all of it, and it is very often that at least one of the bands I speak about, or normally at least 2 that go in the playlist, is something that's approached us, because I then am like, yes, like I like that, and they explain a bit about themselves and their music and go, will you listen to it? And we're like, yeah, and then it goes in, and it does work. So never feel like you're spamming anyone. Like, send us and everyone your music, and we want to hear it.
Yeah, especially the female bands, because I want to hear more of it, and I want to be able to put that on the platform and like kind of shout you out a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Do you actually think it's gonna happen?
What?
Reading and Leeds next year?
What, in the virus?
Yeah.
In the virus.
Because I think it's one of the things that everyone speaks about, and I'm like,
yeah, if you make it
socially distanced.
No, if you make it, you have to have a vaccine to go.
If we have a vaccine by then.
If that's the only way that I can see anything going back to normal, if you have to have a vaccine to go. That's the only way you do it.
Because realistically, otherwise, if not, it's going to be socially distanced.
Yeah, fuck going to shag that, not happening, I'm not going.
See, I back it more for a festival.
I back it more for a smaller gig. No, I back it more for a smaller gig, because I think obviously, as I've spoken about before, I'm very into jazz, so I like going to jazz bars and sitting around and you do just sit around tables and listen to a band.
Yeah.
And I like that, and that's pretty much socially distanced. I'm really excited anyway,
because we've spoken about them and given some of our opinions on them, but we're actually hopefully going to Salpa's socially distanced gig.
They were on the fucking podcast last week, Joe.
I'm talking about getting tickets mainly being the issue.
Oh.
But like,
we've spoke about them a couple of times.
no, spoken about socially distanced gigs, not Sapa.
You meant Sapa.
No, not
I was
them.
like, fucking
no,
hell.
I think everyone's aware of them. No, we've spoken about socially distanced gigs a few times and given our opinion on them. And we are hopefully going to Sapa's one at the start of October, and I'm really excited to see what it's like.
Yeah, I'm really interested.
And how it does carry across, and that's going to be a brilliant night. And I think if that is good, I think a festival, you get like a bit of an area for 6 of you. You take a load of drink, and you can just set up and watch all your favourite acts across a day. It's obviously a whole different experience, but that'd be a good day. I mean, I could enjoy that.
I could see
It'd be a bit like having like your tent at Glastonbury, but you'd never leave it. Like the stage is just there, and you all just chill and watch it as it comes on.
Oh my god, that'd do my fucking nutting for the acts that start at like 11.
Yeah,
and I'm so hungover, and it's like bang, or like the sound man's getting on stage, and there's someone being like testing 1 2 1 2.
That's the thing. It is
that'd
a long
do
time.
My nut.
But I imagine you can still. I know go between. I don't know. It's going to be weird, isn't it? But I think it is interesting to think because you can think about it, but realistically, if it goes ahead, it's going to be in a slightly different way to how it normally would be, regardless.
Depending on it'd be depending on whether they get a vaccine out. And if they get a vaccine out, then we're laughing. But then thank fuck if they do, because this virus is starting to get on my tits a little bit now.
Yeah.
But I do think it's got to be a vaccine, and it's just important. It's essential that everyone has to fucking take it, because if not everyone takes it, the virus won't fuck off. So everyone then will just have to keep taking it for when the antibodies go. But I ain't no scientist.
No, exactly.
But I know that's fucking.
Really,
and if someone tells me to get a vaccine, I'm getting a fucking vaccine.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because I will want to go to the pub and nightclubs.
No.
I can't be. No, give me a little fucking license card that says I have been vaccinated and let me go everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the only way it's gonna fucking work.
Yeah, it would be interesting though. Like I do think. If not, it's going to have to crack forward in some capacity, otherwise the whole industry is going to collapse.
Everything
they're trying
collapse.
to extend the furlough scheme for the music industry. It's like a big petition, because you can't just, it's really struggling because there's still nothing. Nothing's changed since March for this industry.
No, and it's for everything. And I think the problem with it is the government have realised their endless pot of money isn't endless. And now they're getting more and more in debt. No one's lending money. Nothing can happen. We're not going to be able to go back how they wanted us to go back, because funny enough, after what they've done with everything, trying to get everyone back out, and that has caused another spike. Shock, horror. Do you know what I mean? We're now in a position which we were back in March, where they're starting to tighten lockdown again, and it's now going to start killing industries because they won't be able to afford furlough schemes.
Yeah.
And industries that still haven't gone back.
Yeah, no, not at all.
They haven't really gone back.
And the thing is, the issue as well is that people don't see is it's people who are like sound engineers. They've had just normal people that just because people are saying all these bands and they have this money and they do that. Think like fucking, the light production teams. When I was a light company for gigs, have had no work since March. And I know it's happening in every single industry, but this is indie music, so we see it from that perspective. Yeah. And in this music industry for this specifically this indie stuff, so many people that just work on these little gigs, and you say the sound man, the fucking sound man hasn't had any work.
He's had fuck all. He's sat with his cock in his hand the last fucking.
It needs to fucking.
It's silly. I
know everything needs saving, but I am passionate about this needs saving, and the petition going around, and people are giving perspectives on it and stuff, and I don't know.
I just think the government has shagged it.
Oh yeah, I mean
it's sad. It's sad because actually. And now you've got this uproar of anti-vaxxers, and I'm not even going to get into that.
Nah.
I ain't even going to get into that.
Whole different podcast.
Because it's not going to be a political podcast.
No.
Fuck them.
Let's avoid that. Shall we bring it back to indie music and go through some new singles and bands?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. What have you got band-wise for us, Joseph?
Shall I kick it off? I've got one that I was looking back and I just couldn't actually believe we've spoken about yet. So I was like, I've got to do it, and I've literally got to do it now. Yeah. And that is Callow Youth.
Yeah.
Now, they've had a song in the playlist, but we've never actually spoke about them. Yeah. And they are actually...
Red Leather.
I don't think that was one of the playlists, though. You put in... what's it called? Do You Want It All or something like that? I can't remember what it's called.
I really thought it was Red Leather, but maybe not them.
Did it really matter?
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually, yeah.
That's what it's called. So, yeah, and basically, I would give them the sort of accolade of being one of the first actual indie bands I ever got into in terms of it being an up and coming band.
Yeah.
Because so I've literally had them in playlist for like over 2 years now. I was looking because I had a playlist from like 2 years ago and they're like right at the top of it. And they were one of the first ones where like they popped up and they were tiny and they had like these vibe demos that they recorded in one session, 3 songs, and that was all they had on Spotify. And I was like, these are sick, and no one else had heard of them that I would know or like anything. And it was like, shit, these are so good. And that sort of triggered, I was like, who else is out there that no one's heard of that I can now go out and find? And like, I think they really kicked that off for me. So they are quite an important band for me. And their Into the Sun was actually in, you know, like they did the Spotify Wrapped thing. They were in the top 5 of my songs for 2019 of like.
I wish Apple Music did that.
I know. I think they've started it.
Oh no, shit! I did it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I thought they did one last year, didn't they? But
they just made basically a favourites playlist, and then it was all distorted. And like I think it was like my top listened song was like Catfish and the Bottleman, but it wasn't one of the, like, it wasn't like Kathleen or anything, but it was something like that. And it was like, and it was some random one, and it only got like 300 streams. And I was like, weird. I've definitely listened to songs more than that in like a week.
You see, I love the Spotify one now because I've been doing it for years. I've got like 5 or 6 years built up, so then it compares all back to like other years and stuff, and how many minutes you've done on each one. And like Cortina's my biggest band of that, but it did top 5 songs for 2019, and Into the Sun was on there. I was like, that's so cool. It's a weird like accolade to give them, but like as someone who listens to a fucking lot of music, to be in my top 5 songs of the year, it's quite impressive. With stream minutes is insane, and they are just like one of my favourite bands. But they're a proper Manchester band. They're sort of the epitome of what we were talking about in the industry earlier. Jack the Lad, like songs about, you know, like going out in Manchester and being lads, but like they do it better than like most people do it. And those vibe demos, like I didn't realise they literally went into like I think this recording studio is called Vibe in Manchester. They did one session and recorded Into the Sun, Rough and Long Way Back. And it's like, they're unbelievable.
They're a very talented band, they are.
But then like over time, like 42's records picked them up. And I've mentioned them before, like 42's records do bits of every single band they pick up. I'd love
to work with 42's.
Oh my God, they're sick. Like every single band they pick up, just like, they tweak them and they like rep them and they like put them out there and they just get better. And it's like they really are helping like a lot of bands, especially in Manchester.
They should so do a bit of a festival or a gig night.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be unreal, wouldn't it?
I'd love to help them.
So
if anyone's out there, 42's records
get in the DMs.
wants to organise something for after lockdown in Manchester. They want to organise something after lockdown in Manchester. I'll happily help.
We'll do one down here. They do one in Manchester, and we'll just.
Interesting.
But yeah, 42's picked them up, and then they've released Did It Really Matter and Wake Up, and then they did Red Leather as like a proper like label single. And,
Red Leather
did like the vinyl with it, and then did like a 42's mix of it.
Have you got the vinyl?
Yeah,
it's very sick. It's fine vinyl.
And it sounds unreal. And they did like a 42's DJ mix on the other side, on the B side.
Oh really?
And it is really good. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
But Red Leather was so different. Like it really took him in a different direction. But
very impressive though.
Yeah, they're evolving, and they've not. Red Leather came out September last year and have not released anything since.
Oh really?
But they've been doing bits and bobs on social media, and I think there's stuff coming. But I'm so excited for them to pick back up again.
Yeah,
they've not released in a year, and they've still got like 3,500 monthly listeners. But like, if they just banged another like a big song out now, they would be like. They could soar. They're so good. So I'm excited to hopefully hear something from them soon. But
they're very talented, very, very talented group of lads. And they whatever they put out is always impresses me. The last few things, because you showed me it. You've obviously got the Red Leather vinyl, but you've showed me a few bits and bobs about them before. And every time you showed me something new, I've been very impressed with what they've got out.
Yeah, they're unreal.
So far, they're a very interesting band and a very, I don't know, they do fit the look as well. I like the aesthetic that they bring is very interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting.
They've got the personality about them as well, and they can carry it live. And they are unreal.
Absolutely.
Go on, have you got a band?
Yes, my band this week is a band called Lioness. So I was knocking about on Instagram as normal, and I found them through literally the hashtag indie band.
Oh yeah, you said you were just searching that.
I literally searched the hashtag indie band, and because I'm just trying to keep very up on it in on Instagram and try and get like commenting on things and getting involved with people as much as possible, because I feel like we do it a lot on Twitter, but not enough on Instagram. Or you do it a lot on Twitter, but not enough on Instagram. So I thought I'd best pull my weight. So one night I sat there for like 4 hours just flicking through, commenting on things. And Lioness was one of the bands that came up, and I was like, these look interesting. Let's have a little gander. And their track "Throne" was one of the songs that I found and started listening through, which we've just added to the playlist. And they're a fucking brilliant band, very impressive. And again, we were saying earlier about female singers, but she has a female voice. It's a female vocal.
She has a female voice.
She has.
Funnily enough, the female lead singer has a female voice.
The female voice.
Interesting analysis, Elliot.
No, so there's 4 blokes and 1 woman. I think they're a very good outfit from Hertfordshire. They're a rock and roll band. And it's just fucking class music. Yeah. The shit they put out is just very impressive. I like everything they do at the minute, everything that's coming out with them, and whatever they bring next, I'm sure is going to be mega and needs to have that little bit more recognition.
It really suits her voice as well, their style.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's one of the things where it's like, it's not jarring at all, like, because I don't know, having like the 4 blokes and the 1 female, but you almost see that like she is in charge of it almost. And she's
when she does really lead it as hello, another guest. We got fucking hell, got a full studio audience tonight. She really does bring her own style to it, and it really, really shows. Her voice sits lovely over the track, especially in this Throne. Throne has been my favourite one that I've found so far, and I've been really impressed by it, and I really want to see what they do next. Yeah, it's a really good Hertfordshire. Where is Hertfordshire?
Up. Chris is pointing it up.
Down?
Is it in London?
I thought it was London way.
I would say London way.
London way.
One of them funny places is around.
We've got Sam and Sam.
Sam and Sam is saying he's doing all sorts of hand movements.
Sam and Sam, cameraman Chris.
There's also just that somewhere. I think it's one of them places that's like around London.
Yeah, it's Londony way. But yeah, I want to get down there to see them, because I think that'd be very good. I feel like that band would take quite good control of the crowd. Yeah, that'd be really quite sick.
Yeah, it's a cool name as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're a bit heavier as well. I find the backing track's a bit heavier.
Twinge to it, innit?
Yeah, it's got a nice twang to it. For sure. You got a release though for this week?
I do. I have a new single that came out in the last week or so, I think. I can't remember the exact date, but September something, in the last week or so. And that is a song "She" by No Vacancies.
No Vacancies,
yeah.
I've not actually heard that. Yep.
No, I did. I played it earlier, but I
was in a different mindset. Yeah, no, I was doing bits and bobs.
And they I saw them like popping off on Twitter a little bit. Like again, like we follow a lot of people. They were popping off. Like you start to see like the same sort of people, like 5 people all retweet like the same thing. You know that they're decent, because like if they've done it, and then I say, oh, they've done it as well, and I like, you start to respecting people's opinions, and I'm like, I've seen this "She" song pop up like 4 times today, so it must be something decent. So listen to it, and it is really, really good, to be fair.
Okay.
They're from Birmingham, but they've moved to Manchester for their music. They've only got 227 monthly listeners as of when I checked earlier, which is insane. They sound like they should have like 10,000. It is ridiculous.
Is it studio ready stuff?
Yeah, like big time. Like big time. It's like, I've written somber start to the tune, but in a good way. It's quite like a I feel like somber's quite a good word, like a somber. It's not heavy guitar, like upbeat riffs. It's quite like a downbeat backing, but it's got really, really good vocals over it, and it like starts off quite slow, and it builds and builds and builds, and by like the 3rd chorus, it all sort of hits in a little bit. It's one of those that is like, you start and you're like, it's decent, and then by the time you're like, how did it get to
it started
this
developing
song? By the 3rd chorus, I'm like, this is like almost like a completely different piece, but like the more times I listen to it, you sort of, the vocals are really good, and then you listen to like another bit in the background, and that's like, you notice bits.
Sounds a bit like I mean, I'm imagining Garden Blue,
where
it's like begins quite slow, steady, starts building
up. By the
up.
end, it's like a rock tune.
Yeah, it starts building up.
Yeah, that's quite a good comparison, actually.
Yeah, I like listening to bands like that, especially if they do sound very like Studio Bean. Yeah. And if they've got a low amount of listeners, it always piques my interest.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm always like, well, A, why have they not got more? Or should they have more?
Yeah, they
is my normal go-to.
And they, like, the lyrics in this song, they're talking about like wishing they could go back to times when they didn't have a job and a car and stuff like that. And I think
same.
it sounds like
Tell
they're in
me about
like
it,
it is
Chief.
like quite a like relevant lyrics for like where we are and like the ages we're at in like that early 20s feeling of being like,
well, where people are getting married and having like, got a house and stuff, and there's also
go back to being like I don't have a car or a
13.
job or anything, and like life was just easier. And like I think that then like again it's all layers to it. Like the lyrics are really good and the vocals are good, and you keep listening, you're like, and that sounds good, and that, and I was just like, yeah, it's really really good, and that tune is top. And they have a few others as well that are also like really good songs.
I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about them. Actually listening to the track properly.
that would
So
be nice.
play it to me after,
Okay.
please. No, but they sound like they've got a really good sound. They sound like they've got a really good sound,
Yeah.
which is an awful thing to say. It's
no,
not a
it
very
sounds
good
like they've got a really
sentence,
good
but
sound.
no, it does really sound like what they're putting
sound
out is
again.
impressive. Fuck off.
Right,
right.
good. Do your single before you say sound.
Yes, sound. So mine's a band that has popped up and down on.
Fan down.
You know what I mean.
Oh,
They've come
God.
to and fro on our.
Come to and fro. Oh my God.
So-
I said popped off, you took the piss. You said they come to and fro.
No, they keep shifting in and out of the.
Why is there so much movement involved?
Because there is a lot of movement. Let me get to the fucking story.
Oh my God.
So they're a band, Shade.
Shade.
Yes.
They have been shifting in and out.
Thank you. In and out, up and down, to and fro.
Yeah. No,
the
okay,
whole
I back
work.
it,
So
they have.
yeah, they've been in and out of our Instagram scenario. I've seen their shit happening quite a lot.
Yeah.
Seen a few regular things pop up from them. They followed us very early bells when we had maybe under 100 followers on
Yeah,
Insta. They piqued my interest a little bit, but obviously at that point it was very busy with everything else, so I kind of looked over them.
You see, I listened, sorry to interrupt you, but
It's okay, Joe.
No, but I just felt like I cut you in your flow. But they sent us their first track, Never Die, really early on. And like, I'll be honest, I listened to it and I thought it was good, but I was like, as I said, we had a lot of music going on, we had a lot of bands we wanted to speak about, and they didn't really stand out with that tune for me at the time. Which is interesting because where it's going, but yeah.
So when they then refollowed us recently, I'm not saying follow and refollow and unfollow and all that shit because it really does wind me up. But the fact that they refollowed piqued their interest again. So I was like, fuck, I've seen this band
They, like,
around
ring the
now.
bell.
Like I've
Ring the bell.
right, ring the bell.
Oh my God.
It come back up and I was like, shit, all right, I'll
Yeah.
check them out. I'll check them out. And I saw them a couple of times on the indie hashtag and stuff like that. And I was like, right, let's have a little gander properly. Because I'd listened to stuff, but I'd never sat down and took my time to listen to the new tracks. And they released a tune on the 4th of September. And it's Head in the Clouds.
Such a good song.
And I have to admit, as you were saying with that first one, for me, it didn't quite stand out enough for us to like push them in because we still had quite a lot of new stuff being thrown around and we were still trying to find our feet with it. And that wasn't quite enough for me, that first track. But this one is very well recorded. The vocals are very, very sick on it. It sounds, it's got a 90s twang to it. And the whole aesthetic of the artwork and stuff I find is incredible. I love that photo that they use. I just think it really does suit what we've shown so far with our playlist and that. I just wanted to make sure they were included in the playlist. We're looking for a single. I knew these had been released recently and I wanted to root for them a little bit because this track is something that I listened to and was like, yeah, this is interesting.
But I love that like they've gone. I mean, that I just looked and that first track has 37,000 streams. It's done really well. Yeah. Has done really well for them. But the fact that like for us, it didn't quite show anything different because it is quite Oasis-y, but not in like a direct comparison, but just like,
it's
quite Manchester vibe, 90s vibes,
90s
like,
Manchester,
all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, good, but like meh. And then come out with a second song that for me just showed so much more originality. And like I remember you starting it and I was like, who the fuck is this? And you were like, Shade. And I was like, that band who did that song? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, fuck, this song is better.
Yeah,
this song is like,
and
it's really showing their talent with that one. And I'm so glad that they've like done that. Like,
I think they found their feet a little bit more with it
and been like, this is what we like. The first song just shows their talent like in a basic way that's like individually we're really good singers and it's a good song, and then now they've gone, but this is as a collective what we've managed to actually come out with.
It's a very impressive track and I'd like to hear it's something that a way that I know I'm going to mention 42s again, but the way that I like to see it, especially with this band, it sounds like a track that will be able to come on in 42s and not sound out of place.
Yeah.
And I think that's always a good sign.
Yeah.
It's always a good sign for an indie band like that. Just if they can play a track.
Classic. It could be an indie banger sort of thing.
Yeah, it has that sound and aesthetic, and as a group, it's very. I don't know. It's that this is much more interesting than their first track, and I'm very impressed with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what their progression. If they keep going,
that third track could be a fucking unreal song.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what their progression is, because whether they'll take another swing and another stab at something else, I'll be interested to see. But they're very impressed.
A great pick, and I'm glad that you. Because for me, like, obviously, I'd listened to that one and I was a bit like, oh yeah, like I heard them, they were like good, but like, and then you actually gone in and listened to it, and I'm glad that, as you say, they came back in and you listened to it and were like, no, it is really good. And I was like, okay, I'll listen to it, and I was like, fuck, this is really good.
Bit different, isn't it? Yeah, it's different to their first one. It stands out a lot more.
It's unreal. So yeah, no, fair play to them. They've come back and they've blown out the water.
And it's fucking hard to be a Manchester band and stand out doing that music, because there's a fucking lot of them. There is a lot of people that are doing that sound, that you know, that high reverb guitar and
Colour Youth are a prime example. Like
there's a lot
top level band in doing that sort of stuff. So it's not.
It's a lot of shit going. It's a lot of shit going on in that industry. But to be able to for that to stand out for us is quite important. Yeah, so class. I like that. Head in the Clouds, Shade.
I think there's shade.mcr on Instagram as well, because they're quite hard to find. If you just put Shade, they like don't come up. So it's like shade.mcr. Yeah. The other day. So yeah. Just as an interest point, people are trying to find them.
Well, there you go.
Beautiful.
Well, we've recorded this one slightly different on the old YouTube.
Yeah, we have.
On the old YouTube. So it's only one camera lens today. And
it's a little bit of a downgrade.
I think we're probably going to do that for the ones of just us two.
Yeah.
And if people leave a comment, let us know what you're thinking on this one camera angle, because it is a little bit different. I like having the extra bits for when we have guests on.
But it's a lot.
It takes a long while, especially if you've seen the garden one, file's corrupted. So
God, don't even
hard work.
Yeah. So I think, like, especially when it's just the two of us, like, you get both of us in it, and like there's not as much going on as when we have guests. I feel like it's more worth different reactions. But I'd say it'd be interesting if people are fine with that, or if you think actually even just for two of us having all the different angles adds a lot. Yeah. Then we'd be happy to like.
I'll throw it back in. Yeah.
So I think let us know what you thought, and obviously let us know what you think of the discussions today. Topics have hit. I think it was some quite interesting stuff, and what it was like just being the two of us back again, and whether you've enjoyed that. It's a bit sad if you didn't.
Really sad, actually.
We only hear the guests. That'd be really sad. But
really
and if you
upsetting.
have come from guests, let us know. I'd find that really interesting. If you listen to like Sarpers and now you've listened to this one, like let us know. Say you've come from the Sarper one, because I'd find that interesting if you've listened to that one and gone, I want to carry on. That'd be good. So
Sarper was good as well. I enjoyed that.
Class.
Get on that one if you haven't listened to it. So like, comment, subscribe. Just follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
At the SR Podcast.
Everything's coming through there. And again, it's episode 16, but episode 20.
Ooh.
Episode 20. Keep your eyes out. There'll be a big announcement on episode 18. So
yeah.
I'll see you on the other side.
Nice one.
Peace.
Cheers.